For more on this, we're now joined by Dr. Xolisa Tshongolo from the PanSALB, Senior Provincial Manager for the Eastern Cape. Dr. Xolisa, thank you so much for joining us this evening here on SABC News. Of course, today we understand that, the conference took place, the conference for mother tongue language took place in the Eastern Cape. Tell us more about that.
Thank you very much and good evening to everyone. Yes, it was a very great event and a very historic one in the history of our country, whereby now, after 30 years of democracy, it was announced that our kids now will be taught in the languages they understand. You would know that in South Africa, from grade 4 upwards, children are taught in a language they don't understand, especially those of black communities. So now, going forward now, after so many years of trying to convince and proving to everyone else, because it has been proven a long time ago that mother language education is the way to go. So there's a lot of evidence around that. So this Mother Language Day today, it was coupled with that announcement and commitment to the Department of Education that from 2025 going forward, they are going to incrementally introduce mother language education. Actually, they're going to continue with it from grade 3 upwards instead of stopping it at grade 3 and then change to English at grade 4. So it was a very great event, especially for the history of the country and for the benefit of a black child in South Africa.
And talking about that, it will now carry on, throughout their primary school phase. One would be very alarmed and ask and say, do we have the capacity for this to take place in our schools? And at the same time, has the preparations been underway to ensure that, this can be carried out adequately?
Starting with the issue of resources, because the first thing that comes to mind is to check whether we have teaching material in our African languages in South Africa. That shouldn't really be a problem, because you'll know that in South Africa, even if you go to our schools currently, you will find our teachers teaching in these African languages. But the only problem comes when it is assessment time. Because remember, the language of instruction is English. Therefore, the teacher is expected to be teaching in English in the class. But noting that children are struggling to comprehend what the teacher is saying. And also the teacher herself or himself is challenged with the language because it's not her language. So then meaning that both the learner and the teacher, they already have a resource that is called language, which now it is now being freed and allowed that they use that resource freely, meaning that they're going to change between English and any other language or between the languages of the learner and the languages of the teacher. And then as for teaching material, the department, as far as we know as PanSALB, they have started already with the preparation and translation of material into African languages for 2025. So the preparations are underway as far as we're informed as the Pan-African Language Board.
And how important is it for us, to promote African languages, especially in our country and particularly in our schools?
It is very much important. Remember, language is what defines us. Language and culture are very important to everyone. So each of us has a language, and that language needs to enjoy the equal status of like any other language in the country in South Africa, even if it is not official. So every language has got its own right to exist, and everyone has got his or her own right to speak a language that he or she understands. And also in the education sector, it is in the Constitution that one has got the right to be taught in a language that she understands. So it is very much important that we develop and we support and we promote these African languages so that they are actually becoming more usable for high domains in South Africa. So it is very much important. As much as they are there, but we still need to do a lot, but we need not to wait for anything before we can start using these languages in the education, because a language develops only when it is used. So if you're not using the language in a particular field, obviously that language is not going to grow. It's not going to develop. So it is very much important that we promote them.
And Dr. Xolisa, one would say, why has it taken us so long in our country to have mother tongue languages beyond grade 3? And, you know, where we have the struggle, as the minister alluded to, where we have so many young South Africans struggling from grade 4 and beyond?
You know, it has been a question of being uncertain and a question of being afraid of disturbing the status quo. You know, we have been colonized for many years, and then we suffered apartheid. And then all during those both periods, so we were told that only English that will take us far. And then to such an extent that we as people have accepted that and thought that being taught in a language that you don't understand, which is English, it was actually fine. So it is only when we have started paying closer attention to the situation and also trying to play around and experiment and try to get evidence of what has been said by many scholars that mother language is the way to go. Because if you were to now check or compare as to how the Africans mother language speakers are doing as compared to African languages speakers, you will find that those being taught in their mother language, they do much better than those who are taught in a language they don't understand. So the country has been not confident enough that African languages are actually fit for the purpose. So that's a convincing that we have been trying to get through to the authorities. But eventually, here we are, come 2025, the country will be implementing and rolling out to all the public schools in South Africa. Because in the Eastern Cape, it has started in 2012 already. So that's where we have been experimenting and piloting. And it has yielded very good results. So that's when now the country became confident in the process and also in the system of teaching using the languages that the learner understands.
And staying with, you know, the issue of English, why do you think that English in this country has been given so much more prominence over mother tongue languages?
You know, English is everywhere and it has been made to be everything. And actually, English is not everything. And you will find that even when you go to our schools, where you will find no mother language English speaker, but you will still find that learners at that particular school will be doing English as home language, instead of doing their real home language as home language, and then do English as first additional or second additional. So everything has been made to be like we've been made to believe that everything is English. Actually, if you are to be taught how to do the work that you are doing now, what is more important there is the knowledge of your work that you are doing as now, as we are speaking now, not the language that you are using to do that work. The language becomes a tool, like any other tool that you're using in your work. For example, now we are speaking through Teams. Those are tools that we are using. But what is more important is the content and what we are talking about. So English has been given so much priority over African languages, to such an extent that we as African language speakers, we have come to accept that in order for you to be good, you must be speaking English. So it is evident, it is everywhere. And even when, if you are not speaking English, people, they doubt your intellect, you know, as if you are not really educated. In order for you to be educated, you must be speaking English. Even if we talk of developing dictionaries, for example, when you develop bilingual dictionaries, we always aim to develop English Xhosa or English Sesotho, English Setswana. We never develop Xhosa, Sizulu, Setswana dictionary, multilingual dictionaries, meaning that everything has to be coupled with English. So that's the damage the English has caused to us as a country and as a society.
All right, Dr. Xolisa, thank you so much for your time this evening. That is Dr. Xolisa Tshongolo, and of course he is the PanSALB Senior Provincial Manager for the Eastern Cape.